Swim check 1, 2. Bike check 1, 2. Run check 1, 2. I think we're ready. Let's try this. Welcome to the Try Beginner's Luck podcast, a podcast where we explore the sport of triathlon from a variety of perspectives to help beginner triathletes on their journey. I am your host, Mashonda Shines. Well, welcome back to another edition of Try Beginner's Luck. Happy Father's Day to the fathers out there. I guess this is a special Father's Day edition. Keep doing what you're doing. We appreciate seeing you try with your families, and just happy Father's Day. Today, I get to bring to the audience a father, and as of late on social media, I've been seeing his sons swimming, playing in the water, riding their bike. And I'm like, whoa, I believe we're raising up some new triathletes. Well, of course, I had to have him on because this gentleman is very new to triathlon, less than 5 years, and didn't even know what triathlon was as of 2019. So we definitely have to unpack that. But how I came to learn about them is they are a bike fitter. Right? Mm-hmm. And so remember Kate that we had on a couple of episodes ago? Yeah. So Ramsey is the one who did the bike fit on her. And I think I have the story correct, where she had to because her bike crashed, she had to borrow a bike and get that bike fit to her. And Ramsey did that bike fit. And that's the bike that she was able to break the tape of Eagle Man on. Right? So you hear something like that, you want to be like, well, my bike is a little sus and I need a fit. So I'm going to go get me a new fit because I had an old bike at the time. And shortly thereafter, I got a brand new bike that I had to fit. But it was, I think, more of me getting to know who Ramsey was because I learned so much. We were talking about electrolytes. Well, I've already said his name. Clearly, I messed that up, but it's okay. I learned so much about electrolytes. We talked nutrition. It was a really full, fun conversation. And I knew one day I wanted to have him on the podcast. Well, without further ado, I'm just going to welcome Ramsey Sybel to the Try Beginner's Luck podcast. Ramsey, how you doing?
I'm good, Mashonda. Thanks for having me.
Okay, I'm going to make you blush really quick. All right.
Yeah,
So
okay.
remember at Maryland, Ironman Maryland last year? Okay.
Yes.
So girls, I tell you. So you were running down the street and you had running like a runner would run with no shirt on, and you're a very attractive guy. And so my friends was like, how do you know him? And you gave me this hug and they were just like, what's that about? They were like, he's so cute. So I know they're going to kill me for this, but I just wanted to share that you had all the girls fawning after you at Maryland. Okay.
Well, thank you.
Now we can officially start. So 2019, what were you doing in 2019 that you had not discovered the beautiful sport of triathlon?
Man, 2019, I was still kind of navigating a new role that I had taken on. I started in middle of 2017 managing a sales team. We had a national sales division for a large food service equipment dealer. So I was still navigating my role, learning how to be a manager for one, but then also learning how to understand sales and people. So at the time, I was kind of into like OCR races, like Spartans, and I forget what the name of the other one was, but I was getting more physically fit, spending more time in the gym, running maybe a mile max, and dying and hating every second of it. So the idea of triathlon, when I first got introduced to the concept of it, I think I was extremely naive, and that was a good thing. But yeah, I really didn't know anything about triathlon towards the end of 2019. Early 2020 is when I really got introduced to it quickly.
Okay. So you got introduced to it quickly. What did that look like? Because if someone was to see your quote unquote triathlon resume, they would think you had been trying for a couple of years, like 10.
Yeah, I
Years-ish.
mean, with the amount of time that's been put into it, it feels like it's been 10 years. I'm having a hard time remembering what life looked like before triathlon. So I think I've pretty much jumped in head first and stayed in for, quite that time.
So let me just help you all with what I'm talking about. So most people will start their triathlon with a sprint or an Olympic. Not Ramsey. He goes straight full throttle for the half distance. And since he started, so you officially got started at 2021,
Yeah, the official race. Yeah,
race
2021.
2021.
Yep.
He's done 11 half. So, first of all, let me back up. In his first year, he did 5 races. He did 3 halves and 2 fulls. That's insane. Okay. And since then, he's done 11 half Ironmans and 10 full distances. You see the pattern? Clearly, he's an endurance guy. But let's talk about your first year, your first race, jumping right into the back. Why do a full half as your first?
Yeah, I guess I got to start from the very beginning of triathlon. So at the end of each year, I asked my team members that I was managing on the sales side for one professional goal and one personal goal. Probably picked that up from some leadership book that I read or some podcast that I listened to. So as I'm trying to fill out this role as a manager, I figured that was a good starting point. I agreed to help hold them accountable if they decided to share. Well, one gentleman on my team, Ryan Tibertini, he wouldn't care if I said his name, so shout out to Ryan. Ryan introduced me to the concept. He said, I've always wanted to do a full distance Ironman. And granted, I knew Ironman was a hard thing. I just didn't know what it was. If you would have asked me what an Ironman was, I would have had to Google it. So at the time. So long story short, he said that his goal for 2020 would have been to complete an Ironman. And I said, that's awesome. I said, if you do it, if you agree to do it for yourself, I'll sign up with you. And at the time, he looked at me like I had, 10 eyes, and I didn't really understand at the time. I'm like, yeah, I mean, how hard could it be kind of thing. That's my naiveness to the sport. So fast forward, the conversation keeps evolving, and he's like, well, if I'm going to do an Ironman, I'm going to do like a good Ironman, not just any old Ironman. He's like, I want to do Lake Placid. And I was like, yeah, cool. I think that might have been the first time I heard about Lake Placid too, where it was, where the Olympics were held twice. And just, I didn't know anything about the course. I had no idea, being a non-sports guy, a non-triathlete guy, talking about elevation gains and all of those things, none of it really mattered to me at the time. So again, going into this conversation completely blind, completely naive, just agreeing to everything essentially. And his closing remark after I said, yeah, I'm still in, he's like, well, we're probably gonna have to find a coach. And I was like, oh man, people coach this thing? I was like, all right, yeah, that sounds good. Like, probably a good idea to have a coach. I'm in. So I didn't know where to start looking. So thankfully, Ryan kind of took the lead on that. And we came across Andrew Yoder. Ryan had known about Andrew just from his time in triathlon because Ryan had done a half once. He might have done one or two. I'm not 100% sure, but I know he had done a half, so he knew what an Ironman. He knew the world much better than I did. So long story short, we reached out to Andrew. Andrew agreed to meet with us, so we met at a local coffee shop and we sat down. Um, Kind of talked about our backgrounds and experiences that we had. Andrew at the time agreed, yeah, I'll take you guys on. I think what Andrew would say if he was on the call is that he kind of picked up on the fact that we, were showing some good interest and some good work ethic, and that we weren't just gonna like flake out midway through. Other than that, he didn't really know much about us. So yeah, that was kind of the intro to how I agreed to sign up for an Ironman, and I had really no idea what an Ironman was.
But shout out to not being flaky because, coaches definitely don't want to, work or invest their time in people who they don't feel are going to really um, maximize their time. right?
Right.
Because it's effort and they care. They start to build investment and want that return. Okay, so you all, you and Ryan have this coach, Andrew Yoder, who is a former professional turned
Yeah.
coach. And again, like I said, people who wear that name on their chest, they perform at a different type of level, I would say. Um, what was training like? Because you go from zero to Andrew Yoder coaching. Like that's extreme. This is extreme. I'm surprised Ryan is not looking at you with 10 eyes, picking Andrew Yoder as the coach, like, or you were looking at him with 10 eyes. But all of this is extreme. So what is this like coming from your sales background of maybe doing some Spartan races to now saying, we are going to be a part of Andrew's coaching team or his team?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. At the time, I was doing maybe some Google searching as to like he has a website. He's not real big on, he doesn't have to promote himself and his services. Like you said, his reputation precedes him. So, if you know the sport triathlon, 9 times out of 10, you know the last name Yoder. So, at the time, again, going into this, like he was just a normal guy. Met him at a coffee shop. He came across as a normal guy. He is a normal guy. So I wasn't too intimidated at that aspect, but I think it really hit me when I showed up to F&M for the first day for swim. Ryan and I kind of had to stay back on the left side of the pool while the rest of the team was getting their set and instructions for their swim. And then Andrew was going to come down and meet with Ryan and I one-on-one. So here I am looking at all these like stellar athletes lining up on the swim start and in this gigantic, collegiate pool. So Andrew sends them off. They all start doing their workout, and then Andrew comes down to us. And so now I'm seeing people swim, and I'm like, I don't know what that like. How are they doing that? At the same time, I'm like, what is that? It's swimming. When I knew how to tread water, I could hang, I could hold my own at a backyard barbecue pool. But as far as swimming, like there was no background. So Ryan goes first in the pool, and Andrew, I mean, clearly he's got some form and technique and he knows what he's doing, but he's just needing to condition that. So Andrew pulls him out of the pool, walks him up to a lane, and says, here, go in this lane. Here's the set. And then he comes back to me. And to this day, I mean, this is one of I love sharing this story, but at the same time, it reminds me of how humble I need to be in this sport. Andrew's like, your turn, like, jump in. I got to see what I'm working with. And so I'm in and I'm probably swimming with my head above water, just trying to survive to get 25 yards down. And then I think I either came 25 yards back or he might have just pulled me out at the other end. And one of the first things he asked me was, do you not know how to breathe in the water? And I paused for a second. I was like, man, I feel like this is a trick question. You can't breathe underwater. Like, that's impossible. I mean, again, it's funny now, I get it, but like these are the thoughts going through my mind at the time. I'm like, what is he even asking me? Like, you can't breathe in water. So that alone, like, I don't know why Andrew kept me as an athlete. He could have easily said, all right, this was fun, but maybe stick to Spartan races and this isn't going to be your sport. But for whatever reason, he decided to keep pouring into me and investing in me. So for 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, my training as far as swimming went, I literally held the edge of the pool and I was learning how to turn my head in the water. And that's all I did. That's all he let me do for 2 weeks. So I was literally, waking up at 4:30 in the morning, showing up to F&M swim at 5 a.m. Everybody was in the pool by 5:15, and there I am just, turning my head in the water, learning how to breathe and turn my head. Um, and then fast forward a couple weeks, he starts giving me the opportunity to go down and back, down and back. And I don't think I went past 25 meters or 25 yards on each rotation. So I just remember starting to do math in my head, and I started doing math, and I'm like, okay, a full distance Ironman is X amount of yards, X amount of meters. I'm like, I'm gonna have to do this how many times? And I'm exhausted at the end. I'm like completely out of gas after each 25. So it's starting to get real for me now, and I'm like, oh man, this is way harder than I ever expected it to be, just because I had no expectations. So yeah, that was the initial introduction to the swim portion of triathlon. But again, Andrew stuck with me. He kept investing in these, like basically what kids were learning at 5 years old. I was learning at 34.
And not all kids learn at 5 years old, but
That's
a
true.
good amount of kids do. And a good amount of adults are still learning. So that's, I think that story is beautiful because a lot of people are intimidated by the swim. And to hear this story of you literally could not breathe bilaterally in the water and swam with your head above the water is very resonant with some who that's all they have. And that I love the fact that Andrew said, for how many ever weeks you're going to be just on the side of the pool holding it and doing breathing exercises, because that shows that it doesn't matter how you arrive to this sport. If you're willing to learn, you can learn all that you need and proceed and grow at a very rapid pace. So you've done the math in your head, you've done the calculations. You now know that in order to complete this full distance iron distance that you've signed up for as a newbie, is 2.4 mile swim. But to get to that 2.4 mile swim, I'm hoping that what I know you did was a half distance first, which it's not too much better in a 1.2 mile swim. So take us through the natural progression of learning how to swim and getting to the 1.2 mile swim and how quickly you were able to feel comfortable and swim that distance in the water.
Yeah, that's a fun story to tell too, because as soon as I started getting, I think I was up to like being able to swim 100 yards or maybe 200 yards, and I was so excited. I remember expressing that to Andrew during my training. I'm like, I'm up to 200 yards without having to stop. And then March happened, so COVID happened. And I think in the beginning, now let me backtrack just real quick. So during that time of training and realizing within the first couple of days or weeks of training, it's like, oh man, this is a lot bigger than I thought. Um, Ryan and I decided to sign up for a half Ironman just to kind of as a checkpoint to be like, hey, at this point, we'll know how we're going to do, or we'll have a better gauge on how we're going to do in the full distance. So we signed up for Roanoke, Virginia, 70.3. Elevation was similar. Run course was similar. It had a lot of similarities to Lake Placid. So, that was our next metric, and that was supposed to be in June. And here we are signing up probably around February or March. And then COVID happened. And then so I remember I think it was like March 14th, because I just got done celebrating Jackson's third birthday. We had just gotten back from Great Wolf Lodge and went out for the movies, went to work Monday, Tuesday, the world shut down. So with the shutdown means the pool stopped. I mean, all the pools stopped, all the group workouts that we were doing had stopped. So 2020, the landscape was very unnerving. And in the beginning, nobody knew what was actually going to happen. And so once we found out that Roanoke got canceled, we quickly tried to sign up for another half Ironman in hopes that that one wouldn't get canceled. So we signed up for Eagleman. And so those are back-to-back weekends essentially. Well, very shortly after that, that one got canceled as well. And then fast forward, everything for 2020 got canceled. So training was extremely difficult for me. I'm a single dad, and I've been a single dad for a long time. So I have a 3-year-old and I have a like 4.5-year-old. Now I'm locked inside. I can't go to a pool. I cannot go outside for a run because I couldn't leave my kids in the living room and be in the kitchen at the same time. So like having any kind of time away from them was impossible. Let alone sitting on a trainer in my, in my sunroom at the time, just biking away for hours. So training was extremely difficult in 2020. It was almost non-existent, to the point that I was like, what am I even doing? I was like, I can't, there's no way I can do this. So I texted Andrew and I was like, hey, maybe some other time, I can, dedicate more attention to this and be able to do it. But right now, I'm not able to do it. And again, I give Andrew a ton of accolades for my triathlon journey. He didn't let me quit. I don't say that like he forced me to stay on. He encouraged me to like, don't quit, don't give up. Let's work through this. Let's figure this out. Do what you can. We all didn't know what was going to happen with COVID, so he wanted me to stay on. He wanted to keep working on it, and so I agreed. And I think towards the end of 2020, things started to relax a little bit, and I was like, all right, I got 6 months before my first race, which is in June. So I got buckled down. I figured it out. A lot of life things had to change, but I was able to get more training under my belt to the point that we hit Roanoke. Ryan and I drove down, we raced. I died. It was miserable. I mean, it was so hot that day. The swim was okay. I mean, I survived the swim. Mind you, I only had about 3 or 4 months back in the pool after COVID to like get myself together. So the swim was slow, but I made it. I don't know what my times are for that one. I think part of my mind blocked that race out because it was pretty bad. And then, survived the bike, very hilly course on the bike, but I forget what even bike I was using at that time, but it wasn't a super advanced bike. And then I remember on the run, just like I was dying. I was like, this is so hard. I don't think I had ran a half marathon at that time. I might have done one, but definitely didn't have many under my belt. And got to the finish line of that race. I think it was 95 degrees that day. It was hot. It was really, really, really hot. And they gave me my medal. They gave me a thing of water. And the first thing I sighted was like a tree with some shade. And I laid down. And then I just remember sitting there spinning, being like, how am I going to do that twice? Like, that was the first thought that came in my head. How am I going to do a full distance Ironman? That was the hardest thing I've ever done. And so again, humbled. Humble pie was definitely abundant back then. And I told you how I signed up for Eagleman, just in hopes that we would be able to grab one race in 2020. So after, the excitement wore off and stuff like that, um, I found out at the race that I qualified for Worlds, for St. George. I think I got fifth in my age group at, Roanoke, and I didn't know what that meant. So I was like, what does that mean? Like there's a whole nother level to this sport that I didn't really even know existed. I was just showing up to finish this race. So naturally, back then you didn't have to sign up that day. They sent you an email and you had 48 hours to respond. So Ryan and I are like, I remember we had a golf outing for work and we both got the email. We're like, what are we doing? What are we doing? And I was like, we're going. Like, obviously we're going. So we signed up for St. George Worlds, 70.3. Well, that next weekend we had to go down to Eagleman. So we went to Eagleman. Again, I don't have a lot of like core memories of that race. I just remember it was very, very hard. I was just glad to be done. We got to the finish line, we celebrated. And then the next phase was focusing on Lake Placid and training for the full, which was only a month away. So I think it was July 21st, I want to say July 21st or July 22nd. So it was about a month and some change away from Eagleman. And yeah, I we got ready to go up to Lake Placid, and I can just keep rolling into that whole experience. So quite a few athletes with YP were doing that one. We all got a large place to stay together, and I remember going into that race thinking like, what are my expectations? I still didn't have any expectations other than wanting to finish. And I was doing math, and I was like, well, if I did, Roanoke in 5 hours, maybe 12 hours will be realistic for Lake Placid. And at the time, I was like, I still didn't know how to measure like how fast should I be? What is the expectation? So I just kind of went out and I was just trying to have a relaxed mindset about it, like just don't die and have fun. So that's what I did. I just went out, I swam. I still think that that's probably one of my faster swims to date. I'm definitely not a swimmer, but I try to hold my own as best I can. But if nobody's done Lake Placid before, swimming in Mirror Lake is just life-changing. I would definitely recommend doing that race just for the swim. So that swim is beautiful. That was a great experience. I remember getting out of that swim, calves were cramping. I was like, oh boy, here we go. I'm like, now we got to go bike 112 miles. So got into the bike, survived the bike. The bike was good. The course is beautiful. Going down Keene, doing 50 some odd miles per hour. It's intimidating for anybody. Even now, I would say anybody that's done that race before or has done multiple, going down the Keene descent is extremely nerve-wracking. So I'm glad I didn't have any expectations. But going back to my coaching, Andrew does a really good job of getting people familiarized with what to expect on the course so that even though it's their first time, it's not going to be like a, oh crap, I didn't know that that was there type of thing. So we definitely I knew it was there. I knew it was a fast descent, but outside of that, until you do it, you don't know. Got into the run and I was tracking my heart rate, I guess, and I was just kind of trying to be relaxed and just do the run. So yeah, I got through the run, and mind you, like coming back into town and going to the finish line, you have to climb this, what at the time is like Mount Everest size hill, and everything just starts falling apart. And the wheels were coming off. I had held it together until that point, and I was just like, get me to the finish line, please get me to the finish line. Um, so cross the finish line and my kids are there, so they're like looking at me and they're like trying to find me when I finally make my way through the finish line, get all the stuff and then find a chair and just sit down again. So yeah, it was at the time that was again the hardest thing I've ever done. But I just remember saying to myself, it wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. So I had made this like the expectations were low, and the pain wasn't as bad as I thought. At the time, I was really, really glad to just be done.
Well, thank you for sharing both the first half and the first full experience because I think it goes to show that all races are going to be different no matter where they are. And just because you did Roanoke a week before Eagleman, you had different experiences there, very different courses. Like Roanoke is hilly, Eagleman is super flat. And just to shout out to Eagleman, you're doing Eagleman this weekend. So thank you for being here. Eagleman is a big weekend on the, I guess, the East Coast with Eagleman being a pro series race.
Yeah, that's a big
So
one.
getting to race out there with the pros. Um, but you on your first race, you placed fifth in your age group. Like your age group, especially I think that the 30s, I think you're in the 31 to 34 age group.
Yeah,
That's a very competitive age group.
very. It still
And
is.
to place fifth and be able to get accepted to go to the world championships, that's not a small feat. Did you happen to go? Well, yeah, you probably, well, I don't know. Did you go? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We went. I think it was in September. I want to say it was in September.
Okay.
Yeah, another piece of humble pie because I think I placed 50th in my age group and like 250th overall at Worlds. And I just remember getting into town and being like, oh my, like that's world-class level athletes. Like these people did not look human. And I just remember that being like, oh man, like this is insane. So yeah, it was we
Not
went
that they
because I
don't
was
look
like, when am
human.
I ever going to go again?
Wow, these people don't look human. That's an interesting. I've never heard anyone classify athletes as not looking human, but I can
Yeah.
understand that too. Okay, so the last time, so that was three. So the first one was Roanoke, second was Eagleman, your third was World Championships.
No, third was Lake Placid.
No, 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 your third half.
Oh, third half. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
third
Third
half.
half. Yeah. Yeah.
And then your first full that year was Lake Placid. And what was your second half? I
So
mean, second full.
I qualified for Kona at Lake Placid. I got seventh in my age group. So again, my inexperience in the sport, I still didn't really know what Kona was. I didn't realize how sought after, how much of a holy grail in triathlon Kona was. I mean, I am freshly new to this whole sport. So when I got told like you qualify for Kona, I had tons of people reaching out to me being like, you got to take it. Like you got to like, this is a lifetime opportunity. And I was like, yeah, I mean, this sounds pretty important. I should probably do this. So I agreed. I signed up to go to Kona, and I don't know if you recall, but there was like another wave of COVID, or like a second or third or whatever it was. But Hawaii was pretty much like, nah, nobody's coming here. So Hawaii shut down Kona for that year, and that's why we have, such a in 2021 we had 6,000 racers in Hawaii, was because of that rollover from 2020 and 2021. So, yeah, so I couldn't go to Kona. My coach was like, "Hey, you're fit. You should still race." And I was like, "Yeah, I do. I would like to race. I had planned to go to Kona." So I went to Panama City Beach, Florida for that race. And that one also has a special spot in my heart because I 2 days before the race, we all went out for dinner, just went to an Italian place, get some pasta for some carbs. And we had ordered like this shrimp platter thing as an appetizer. And mind you, I'm from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. We don't waste anything. So if there's food in front of me, I'm eating it. One of the athletes that was at the table, she's a professional. She was a professional then, Sam Snookus. She's like, "Man, this shrimp tastes weird. I'm not eating this." And um, I was like, "Well, I mean, I guess I'll eat it or whatever." So me and this other guy, we just like ate all this shrimp. And long story short, I ended up getting food poisoning that night. And so that lasted. So that was 2 days before the race. The day before the race, I was in misery. It was so bad. And then the morning of the race was, if you look back on this race, for me, it was obviously my second Ironman, but it has been imprinted in my brain. It was 43 degrees that morning. The water temperature was like in the low 60s. There was a craft advisory. We didn't even know that if we were going to be able to swim. It was just horrible weather for Florida. You don't go to Florida thinking that you need to bring winter clothes. And so we get into the race. If you remember Heather, if you ever look up the picture like on Heather Jackson's Instagram, you'll see like she's wearing these garden gloves. That was that race. I remember hearing Lionel Sanders say that was like the hardest swim of his entire professional career. So it was not an easy race. And that was my first ocean swim too. So mind you, I went from Mirror Lake, which is glass, to Panama City Beach, which was like is basically swimming in a hurricane, it felt like. So yeah, the water was cold, the air was cold, everything was cold, cold, cold. I have food poisoning, so I'm inhaling salt water because I don't know how to swim still. So I'm drinking more water in the ocean than I probably did before the race. And then get into the bike and I can't hold anything down. I threw up a couple times. I had water nutrition in my bottles, but I I had no way of taking it in. Everything was just coming back up. Um, so finished the bike. Good. Yeah, I finished the bike and then got into the run. Temperature increased to about 85, got really hot. Um, Andrew had driven down from Pennsylvania for that race because there was quite a few people racing on the team. So he was out there and tons of encouragement, just basically saying, whatever I needed at that moment, I was relaying to him what I was feeling, and he was relaying back. He had no idea I had food poisoning either. So he's trying to manage me through this race with only having half the information. Um, and then yeah, finished that race, and again, just was glad to be done with it.
Well, that's the first year. And I think for some of us, that's a lifetime of racing right there in just 1 year. So kudos to you. So let's, how do we quickly, I guess, quickly moving from like racing, because I want to come back to racing, but I want to hit on like you being a bike fit and a mechanic. Like, how did that come about? Because that's an interesting perspective.
Yeah, so I feel like I kind of have like more of a mechanical like engineer style brain. Things just kind of make sense to me, I guess. And I grew up doing construction. My whole career has been managing construction. So a lot of that, I just feel like, and growing up as a kid, I was a total gearhead working on cars. So I just feel like a lot of that just kind of helped propel me into wanting to become a bike fitter. So the bike fitter piece actually happened. Our team had been scheduled to get a bike fit from a really, really well-known bike fitter, and last minute had canceled. I don't know exactly what happened, but It's not important, but essentially, I had a brand new bike, and I was like, I want to maximize my bike position, and I had it all geared up to do it with this guy, and then it didn't happen. So I reached out to Andrew, and I was like, I want to be a bike fitter. Like we do not have a bike fitter in Lancaster, and I was like, I want to learn this. I want to figure this out. And he really helped steer me in the direction. I went with Dan Enfield, who, if you ever look him up, he's basically the godfather of triathlon, like original triathlon bike creator with Quintana Roo and the wetsuit. He just has a whole history to himself. And so yeah, I went out to California and got certified as a bike fitter in the desert of California, like right above Los Angeles in the backside. And all I did for I think it was about 7 or 8 days, did gravel riding and learned bike fitting. Those are like the only two activities that we did when we were out there. So when I came back, I really just started with my team and did tons of bike fitting on members of the team at the time. Andrew was my first client and nailed his bike fit almost to a T to what he had been riding on his road bike. So just having his support and just help along the way really helped propel me into becoming a bike fitter. And then, yeah, I've been doing that ever since. So that would have been like 2022. I've been just I saturated myself with bike fitting as well.
So if you're in the Lancaster area or not, because people drive, i.e., I did, check out Ramsey. What's is the name of your company? Triform?
Yeah, Triform. The F is a four, number four.
Okay, cool beans. We'll make sure we put that out there. So you mentioned earlier that you're a single father,
hmm
and oftentimes we talk a lot about single moms doing this sport or vice versa. But being a single dad and being immersed into the longer distance endurance part of that, what has that been like?
Man, what has that been like? In the beginning, it was more stressful than it was enjoyable because it was just a matter of like managing a whole lot of things. I was managing COVID, I was managing a new job, I was managing very young children. I was managing the sport. So it just felt like a lot of managing of time and when I can do things. Also taught me how to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning because if you're going to prioritize something, you have to start filling your own buckets. So I had a lot of buckets I had to fill, and I couldn't be 100% in each one. It's just unrealistic, but I could be 100% in each one at certain times of the day. So if I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning before the kids woke up, I could be 100% a triathlete in my training. When work happened, I could be 100% during work. When I had to be a dad, I could be 100% being a dad. So it was learning to prioritize my buckets. What that didn't allow me to do is, go out on the weekends with, friends and, go to the bar. Like I didn't have the desire anymore because I was like, man, that's gonna suck to wake up the next morning because I got to do 4 hours on my bike in my living room. I don't want to go out the night before. So really started to weed out some of the things that I didn't need in my life anymore so I could prioritize the things that I wanted to have in my life. So as my kids have gotten older, they've obviously seen a few of my races. They've seen a lot of my training. I mean, they know when they wake up in the morning, if I'm not upstairs, they know immediately to go to the basement because I'm going to be on my bike. 9 times out of 10, that's where I'm at. So it's been as they've gotten older. So Jackson's now 8, Parker's almost 10. They've kind of fallen into triathlon on their own. For the past, I would say 2 years, they've learned. I've kind of coached them on how to swim because I was very fresh in my brain. I felt like I was qualified to like kind of help get the basis down for them. And they're both natural swimmers. Like it's a beautiful thing to watch because I'm like, man, I wish I would have had that when I was your age. So getting to kind of coach them or navigate them through it, I never push them to do anything. Like I ask them if they want to sign up or do this or that or the other thing, and they're adamant about wanting to be involved in triathlon. So Parker's completed 3 kids youth triathlons, and Jackson's completed 2. The only reason he hasn't done 3 is he was too young for the first one that Parker signed up for. He missed it by like 6 months. Um, but yeah, getting to watch them do their first one, they both had the exact same experience, which was pretty exciting to see. Um, you know, after the swim, like all the wheels came off, the emotions were flying. I can't get on the bike. They're crying. I can't get on the bike. Um, so yeah, it was really cool to watch them kind of evolve into, and I'll invite them here in a second. It was really cool to watch them evolve through their first triathlon and short distance. They had to swim 25 meters and then get out and like had to go on their bike for a mile. Then they had to go into a run for a half mile run. But both of them both had emotional breakdowns after the swim right into the bike. And I just remember like I was there to like walk them through it, encourage them to keep going. I might not have broke down coming out of the swim and needed my coach to pat me on the back to keep me going, but I know what that felt like, needing that reassurance, like you're gonna be okay, just do it type of thing. So it was really cool to be able to experience that with them. I'm gonna put myself on mute just for a second so I don't blow your microphone when I call them, but hold on real quick. So these guys are unfiltered, by the way, so I have no idea what's gonna come out of their mouth, but
Oh, th
this
oh
is
my
uh
gosh.
this is
Hi.
Jackson.
Hey,
Say
Jackson.
hi. This is Makonda. And then that's okay. And then this is Parker.
Hey, Parker.
So this is my almost 10-year-old and turned 8 in March. You're 8.
Nice.
Okay, almost 9.
Your dad was just talking about you and how you guys have been wanting and desiring to get involved in triathlon and how you've done uh, a total combined of 5 triathlons. But what I really want to shout out is the other day, how I thought it was so cute that you guys are at the pool and the way you were putting on your swim caps. That blew my mind. It blew my mind. Okay, so taking back that because I'm a follower on YouTube. I mean, on Instagram. What has it been like to do the sport and watch your dad participate in the sport?
I like it. It's cool.
Here, let Parker go first, then you can go.
It's been cool because every single time he runs, I feel more encouraged that I can do the same with him. And better and better and better until I'm just like him on triathlons.
Oh, that's so cute.
Uh, the way I like it is like he doesn't really like try hard. He just does a strategy.
Strategy?
Yeah. But last year we had a 1 mile race. Parker got in 8th place and I got in 5th
What?
last year.
So you're
That was
following
only
your
on
dad's footsteps of being on that podium.
yeah, that was only on the 1 mile run. Yeah. We didn't actually do a full triathlon, it was just the run.
The one,
I
okay,
did the
okay.
1 mile bike ride. I forget what I got. The place 28.
Oh, no, you're still learning.
So do you have any triathlons lined up for yourselves this year? I mean,
Mhm.
in this season?
Two. The 1 mile race and
The Lidditz Youth
yeah,
Rec. Yeah, Lidditz Rec Center puts on a triathlon for the youth, so they'll do that again in October.
I love it. I love it. Well, what does it mean? Like this is a special Father's Day episode. So what would you say you're most proud about of watching your dad try something new at, as
um
a father, stepping into triathlon only like 4 years ago?
um, he's like really good at it and he gets better and better each time. Like
Mhm.
he's really good at it and then like it encouraged me to do the same.
Mm. And if your dad wasn't sitting here, what would you say about your dad without him looking, even though he's here? So this is like,
Uh that he's really good at it. And then I think he shouldn't like do harder. I think he should do more strategy. I can't say the word right. Strategy.
I
but the
shouldn't work
fact
as
that you're
hard. I should
talking
do more.
strategy is really cool because most people your age wouldn't be talking about strategy. So at least you're learning like what it is, what it involves, and how to um and what's needed in order see. Look at me, I'm just like you. I'm messing up my words too. Continue to improve. Yeah. So, is there a
Mhm.
special message that you want to tell your dad as he's getting ready to go off and race this weekend?
Yeah, Parker didn't even know I was racing this weekend. Sorry. I'm racing this
Oops,
weekend.
sorry.
No, I know it's not a secret. I just, yeah, it's on Sunday.
Maybe higher.
Okay. Okay.
Third place on his last one, so I'm hoping he'll get another one. And I'm a little scared for him because he didn't do an Ironman too long. He did an Ironman not too long ago, and he's only been training for like not long enough to get running, like not to get him like untired and ready for it.
So I'm still recovering.
Yes, still recovering.
Okay.
So I'm a little nervous that if he's not done recovering, he may go slower and get lower than third place.
That's so like the recovery. That's right. Dad needs to be recovered.
Yeah, yeah.
I
I
like
feel
that.
good.
What
Don't
about
worry. I'm
you?
recovered.
Hmm?
She's asking you.
Yeah.
Jackson, did
Um,
you have anything you wanted to say?
Mm-mm.
No, no, I love it. And you're right. So, um, if I'm not mistaken, Parker,
Hmm.
just a few weeks ago, your dad was at Chattanooga, right?
Yes.
And I get it. He led the whole way because I was tracking on what is it called, the little app thing, and he went
Yeah,
really hard. And so you're concerned about him, huh?
we saw one like he still has one like right on his chain. He has a little tracker on his chain.
I
Yeah, I
love
know
it.
that.
oh yeah.
I
I
saw
love
the
it.
wheat green thing.
Yeah, I'm getting my bike ready for Eagle Man, so they're just admiring and looking at the bike and I put a bigger chain ring on this time so it has like a little graphic on it, so that's what they're pointing out.
Oh, nice, nice. Was there anything you guys want to tell your dad in regards to Happy Father's Day?
Wait, today's Happy Father's Day.
Not
It will
today,
be
but we're
when this
recording
goes.
it like a Happy Father's Day. Oh,
I'm just I wanna make sure that's like Iron Man.
Thank you.
Good luck. And on and I don't know if I'm going to see him race yet. So if I am, I want to stay running like where he runs. I want to run like uh not on his path, like right next to him to see how he's doing the whole time.
okay.
Okay.
You guys are great. I'm so glad that you're
Is
supporting your
that fun?
dad
Can I tell
um
him what I'm playing?
and so concerned. Oh my gosh, I don't even know if I would have been able to be concerned and be like your recovery and all that good stuff.
Yeah, they've
What
seen quite a bit of the aftermath, so the ones that they've gone to, it's usually, they've had some reasons for concern,
for
I guess, or
concern,
they
yeah.
have some good reasons for concern. So
Cool. Well, thank you guys for hanging out with us for a little bit. I don't want to take you away from your fun activities to just talk to us
Well,
to talk about triathlon.
the only thing we're doing right now is watching King Kong, King Kong versus Godzilla.
Okay, well, you're happy to hang out while I ask your dad some more questions.
yeah, go watch your movie.
So,
Yeah.
your last race that you participated, which I think that was Jackson's concerned about your recovery. You placed third on the podium, which was great. Do you have any expectations for yourself this year as you're continuing to improve, understand the sport a little bit more? Like, what are some of your goals, if you don't mind sharing with us?
Yeah, it's actually it's something I've been working through recently. So I think because of my lack of experience in the sport, I kind of I kind of look at the metrics and I'm like, oh, I should be able to do this. I should be able to be here. I should be able to place here. So that past couple years, I've kind of started to like seat myself as like I should be here when I'm done with the race, just based on data and historical numbers that I'm putting out. But um, as we know, this sport evolves quickly. So age groupers are getting extremely fast. I'm more of a full distance athlete where uh, I can go on cruise control and just run and stay okay, but try to boost that octane to go super fast on a half marathon distance. It's just not natural for me. So I think part of the reason why I like the full distance is not just because I can do better from a placing standpoint, But it's just I enjoy that longer duration better. I know it sounds crazy, but um, as I've conditioned over the years, I just enjoy that distance more. So as far as to answer your question, as far as like what my expectations are, I don't really have any anymore. My biggest hope when I race is that I just want to perform where my fitness will allow me to perform at that moment. So I'm not looking for miracles. I'm not looking to like compare myself to a Christian Blumenfeld and be like, oh, I'm just gonna magically run 5:15s for the half. Like not happening. I just want to be able to perform where my training has allowed me to get to at that point. And I've had these past few races, I think all of last year for the most part, something went wrong. Like something went wrong. Lake Placid, I raced Lake Placid last year and ended up with four flat tires. Like you can't make that up. It was just defeating, but being able to get into it, there's some good that came out of it. I was able to hit one of my run goals for the marathon. So, there's some good and there's some bad, but the things that are out of my control, I would like to be able to do better with the things that are in my control. Chattanooga had its own little flop. I'd always wanted to do Chattanooga for a while. I say always wanted to. In the past couple of years of knowing about triathlon, I've wanted to do Chattanooga. Um, but that course is really technical to get out of town, and there's a lot of railroad crossings, a lot of rough roads. I lost both of my water bottles that had all of my nutrition within the first 4 miles of the bike. So all I had on me was four gels to get through the bike, and then hope that I could put together something on the run. So losing 1,200 calories and 320 grams of carbs that I had planned to take in really set up for a really rough run. So about 5K into the run, the wheels started to come off, and it went more into like a run walk, and just yeah, I was cooked. So. Now I have those bands for my water bottles, so that's not going to be an issue. Hopefully, I don't lose any of the water bottles. But again, at Eagle Man, I think my expectation, it's not going to be how fast is it going to be, what place am I going to get. It's I want to be able to know that at the end of the race, I was able to perform at the level that my fitness was going to let me perform at.
I love that. That's a mind shift, and I appreciate you sharing because sometimes people do have this expectation of what you should be doing when every year is different. Your body's going to react very differently every year that you try, and I really appreciate you having that more of a whole perspective as you're going into your race season this year. This has been absolutely, I've enjoyed listening to you. Your son's coming and joining in. What is one piece of advice that you would like to encourage the audience with before we go into rapid fire?
Yeah. Uh, if it pertains to triathlon specifically, you just don't get overwhelmed with the things that seem impossible in the beginning. If you have a goal, if you want to do a certain distance, and maybe for some people, just doing a half Ironman, that's like the biggest hurdle right now. So like, don't set your expectations on, I'm not going to be good enough unless I do a full. Like the full is a totally different animal than a half, even a sprint or even an Olympic. I know when you had Kate on a couple months ago, she was like, I don't want to touch a sprint. And I get that. I wouldn't want to touch a sprint. I mean, that's high octane, for a competitive person. That's not a good one to go after. So long story short, I would just say, if you have a goal, don't let the initial fears set you back. Kind of go into it naive with very low expectations, but just go into it enough to be able to do it. And then you'll learn a lot along the way. And then if you want to do it again, you'll be able to perfect your approach, like I've done over multiple races, trying to chase that A race, trying to improve as an athlete. But what I've learned about this sport is I've improved as a person through sport. I've evolved a ton as a person by trying to accomplish something that seemed impossible. And what you learn about yourself along the way is what I would encourage anybody to do. Do the impossible because you're going to learn a lot about yourself, and the impossible is going to just be the next thing that you're going to work towards, and it's just going to propel you as a person.
Well said. But that said, thank you so much, Ramsey, for just hanging out with me. And this has been so good and a lot of good knowledge for those who are currently racing, those who are new to racing, and those who have been racing forever. But we're gonna do some rapid fire. I feel like this is let's just jump right in. Racing
Okay.
hot and sunny weather or cool and cloudy conditions.
Oh, cool and cloudy all day. That's an easy one.
All right. Favorite motivational quote or mantra?
Man, that's a putting on the spot. I don't know. You might have to come back to that one. Let me try to think of something because on the spot, I don't know that I have a an easy one to pull off the brain.
Okay. Taper week, love it or hate it.
Man, taper week is where you feel. I hate it. Sorry, rapid fire. Hate it.
Swim, bike, run, rank in order of preference.
Bike, run, swim.
Okay. What cross training activity do you enjoy the most?
Chasing my children around. That's quite the workout.
If you had an opportunity to go back to your pre-Spartan days, what challenge would you do now with the knowledge of having Ironman training for your wisdom?
Um, I don't think that there's anything higher than an Ironman that I want to accomplish. Like I don't have any desire to do an ultra Ironman, so I would just say, get faster and get better and learn the sport sooner.
I wasn't sure if it was like do a Spartan or do the ultras, the one that's down in Patagonia or something like that.
Oh yeah, like the ultra one, like the ultras. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, nope, wouldn't want to do that.
All right. Um, favorite song?
Hmm. Favorite song. If man, I'm so bad at music, but again, come back to me on that one because I do have a favorite one, but it's yeah, I don't have it off the top of my head.
Okay. Um, dream training partner, alive or historical?
Dream training partner. Man, I have such a great team. I would try to train with like Lionel Sanders sometime. That would be intimidating as all get out. So yeah, I would say Lionel.
That's a cool person to train with. High cadence cycling or grinding it out with lower cadence?
Lower cadence probably.
Oh, you're like besides me, the second person that said that. Everyone else is like high cadence. I'm like, cadence. Favorite race destination?
That I've done or in the future.
Let's just do the future.
Frankfurt, Germany.
Okay. All right. For your first race, did you immediately clip in with pedals or did you have cages?
Pedals. Yeah, clip-ins.
Okay. Hmm. Favorite pre-race breakfast?
Man, the nerves usually limit me from being able to eat, but I would say just as much as I can get in, oatmeal and bananas.
Okay. End of the race. Are you a beer, wine, water, or soda type of person?
Soda.
All right.
Soda for sure.
Do you have any race superstitions?
No, no.
Okay. Are you ready to tell us your favorite song?
I guess. I think I just pulled up my Spotify with my like songs, but um I don't know. I'm not like a huge music person. I like it, but I don't like. I
When you're
listen to a
training, what do
lot.
you do? You train to it, music, books, or television?
Uh, it's a mix depending on where I'm at. Like if I'm outside, I don't really listen to anything. If I'm inside, it's a mix of 6 hours on a bike, I'll watch Netflix, I'll listen to music, I'll listen to a podcast. Anything like that. So actually, to answer your question, instead of giving you a favorite song, my most recent thing to that I look forward to during long training sessions is I start listening to a church called 2819 down in Atlanta, Georgia. So that's saturated my a lot of my indoor training time. I found that that's such a rewarding piece for me is to tune in and listen to them.
Come on, you better get some power while you're out there exerting power. Get it filled back in. Come on. I love it.
Yep.
I was just thinking well, I'll tell you, I'll say it. Usually, like, I pray before the sessions, and I was like, wait a minute, I don't think I prayed before this one. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, but thank God he always covers us. And look at that with 28:19. He came right full circle, right
I
on.
love it. Yeah.
So
Such
with
a
that
good
said,
message.
do you pee on the bike or you get off and take a proper pee break?
I never stop. I barely even pee on the bike, but I would pee on the bike before stopping. Never
Well,
stop.
there you have it. Ramsey, thank you so much for coming on Try Beginner's Luck. I appreciate you. I'm excited to be down at Eagleman this weekend to watch you amongst so many I just found out that are racing, as I will be volunteering at the swim start. So I will see you at the start of your race. With that said, we
Awesome.
have to sing at Try Beginner's Luck. Whenever you try, you always win. My name is Mashonda Miles, also known as Mashonda Shines. Be sure to like, share, and follow this podcast. We are not just on all of your major platforms, but we're also on YouTube. So you can be able to look at this as well. With that said, we are out. Peace. Bye, everybody.
See ya.
Thank you for tuning in and listening to this episode. We need your help so we can continue to try at TBL. So for more information on where you can find and subscribe to this podcast, visit www.trybeginnersluck.com. And don't forget, whenever you try Beginner's Luck, you always win.